Yes, I'm taking a bath. That's what's happening. Greetings from Sedona, Arizona. I'm being bougie all weekend. So yes, I'm making a video from the bath. Don't hate the player, hate the game, fellas. So as you guys know, I get quite pensive when I have time to myself. And honestly, it's actually a real thing that in the bath, ew, 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 there's long hair. It is not mine. When I'm in the bath, even at home, okay? When I'm in the shower, sometimes I have these thoughts that lead to conversations that then I want to have on this YouTube channel. So that's what happened today. And I want to tell you guys what's on my mind, because why not? So if you guys are familiar with Bethenny Frankel, reality TV star, she was on The Real Housewives of New York, polarizing figure. Some people love her, some people hate her. I love Bethenny Frankel. I think her mind is, I think she's a genius. Like, I think as a businesswoman, she's so smart and she's so detail oriented. I love the way her mind works, but she's not for everybody. But Bethenny Frankel always says this thing. I listen to her podcast and she always says this thing, which is that you can't play smart and stupid at the same time. And I never knew, I never got what that meant. I wish I brought some water over here. I'm dehydrated. I went hiking all morning. The boy is dehydrated. So she always says this thing about you can't be smart and stupid at the same time. And I never got it. And then she gave an example, the last podcast episode I listened to, and I finally got it. And basically it's another way to say, you can't pretend. It's really, you can't pretend to not get something when you do, right? In other words, don't be disingenuous when you know exactly what you're doing and what you're saying. And ever since I got what that meant, I'm now seeing it everywhere with people I interact with. It's it's my new thing that I say, I wish I could just tell this person, you can't be smart and stupid at the same time, okay? So yesterday on the flight here to Sedona, Arizona, this is a great example. I'm on the plane and the flight attendants offer beverages, right? Complimentary beverages. So about 30 seconds before they get to my row, I hear the two flight attendants exchange words about club soda. They're out of club soda. So one flight attendant goes to fetch 4 cans of them, gives 2 of them to the other flight attendant because her cart is a little bit farther up. Usually they do 2 carts at the same time, I guess, to speed it up. So one is at the front of the plane, the other's at the back. So he gives her half of the club sodas. He takes the other 2 and puts them in his cart, right? So then now it's my turn, 20, 30 seconds later, and I ask for club soda. And the guy goes, oh, she'll help you. I'm just taking care of water and coffee and tea. And in my mind, I'm like, I just saw you put those club sodas in this cart. We could just speed things up, but all right, fine. So I don't know why he did that, because he only gave her 2. There's a good chance 2 other people are gonna ask for them, and then she's gonna have to go back to him, and it's just a waste of his time, but whatever. They have their own process. I'm not gonna be a Karen. I'm like, fine, I'll wait for the lady. So I wait for the lady. By the time she gets to my part of the plane, it's a few minutes later, I ask for club soda, of course, right? And she goes, oh, we're out. Just dead end. She just cuts it off. And I'm like, oh, but I thought I saw the other guy have 2 club soda. And she cuts me off and she's like, well, yeah, but you're not the only person getting club soda. And she says it with an attitude, and I think she caught herself. She could tell she was being a bitch and she was being passive aggressive. And she ended it with a chuckle, oh, you're not the only one. And I'm like, I thought I saw him have 2 others, but okay, I'll just take water. Because I was fully aware that there were more club sodas, right? So that's lesson number 1. That's the prime example of you can't play smart and stupid at the same time. I knew I had extra information that she did not have, right? And she's playing dumb, she doesn't have it, and giving me an attitude about it. So then she goes, I'm pretty sure we're out, but I'll go check just for you. And she, again, says it very passive aggressively, and I don't roll my eyes, but I don't even make eye contact with her because I'm already done with this bitch. So she comes back, and sure enough, she has a club soda for me. She gives it to me nonchalantly, no acknowledgement, no apology, nothing. And she just goes, do you want ice with it? And so as I'm drinking my club soda, I'm now kind of irritated at this unnecessary situation that just took place. This person could have literally just checked first whether there were club sodas and then come back to tell me, hey, there aren't any, right? If there really weren't any. But instead of trying to fulfill a request of a paying customer, she came straight from a place of like, fuck you, fuck this job, I don't feel like doing this right now. And this whole thing about playing smart and stupid at the same time, it really boils down to just lying and like not being genuine. In the end, she gave herself a headache by having this unnecessary thing of like, oh, well, I don't know, but I'll go check. And then she was wrong and looked like an idiot. And in the process, like annoyed a customer. And I just thought that was so interesting because it happens all the time, right? In society, that people just aren't clear with their words and their intention, meaning they say something they don't mean. And then what they end up doing is they spread that like disingenuous energy. And somebody like me who just wants a fucking club soda, now I feel like I just became a Karen because I asked for something that is complimentary as part of a service I paid for, right? So it's interesting because people like that make people like me second guess whether they should be honest and genuine about asking for what they want. Obviously, we're just talking about club soda, but I'm saying this, I thought this moment was so symbolic of a bigger picture of what happens with dating, people not being clear with their intentions, what happens with friendships and family, and people saying something other than what they mean, either because they want to people please or because they don't care about you and they just want to go home, or they want to do what they want to do. What I've been learning over the last few years is that when you come from a place of true intention, like your intentions being clear and your actions and your words lining up with your intentions, you waste less energy. Because there's none of that bullshit like the situation I just described, where then you have to back it up or exert extra energy to make up for that nonsense or that white lie or whatever. At the same time, I have total awareness that this woman probably had a long day. She probably deals with actual Karens all the time. And so she must almost have an armor on of like, if anybody gives her a slight headache, she puts that wall up and goes into bitch mode. And I get that, like I sympathize with that. At the same time, I would be like that too, which is exactly why I would never be a flight attendant. I would hate to have a job that revolves around customer service because I don't like dealing with people and their antics. And so interestingly, this connects to another recent situation, which is that I'm talking to a company right now. It's not 100% sure, but I might be starting a new position soon. And what's so interesting about this whole situation is that I was actually talking to this company months ago. And during the interview process, I was very honest about what I am capable of, what I'm not, what my concerns are about the role. And in the end, I didn't get the job back in like January, 3 or 4 months ago. And they ended up going with this other guy, okay? So last week they circled back and they're like, hey, let's get on a call. We get on the call. They, in so many words, were like, we think we made a mistake with the other guy. And I asked them why they had picked the other guy in the first place. And they said that he seemed more aggressive, which they thought would be better for this job of proactively reaching out for partnerships and being kind of like proactive and a go-getter. And I thought this was fascinating because A, I agree with them. I'm not an aggressive person. I would never describe myself as aggressive. So if that's what they wanted, they should go with another person, right? But the proof is in the pudding. And I've seen this in the workplace so many times that people get hired who have a glib charm or like surface confidence, but they can't actually deliver. Going back to you can't play smart and stupid at the same time. So then they end up working and suddenly they're like, oh, there's too many hurdles for me to accomplish this goal. Like this isn't working. And then they blame other people. And apparently that's what this guy is doing. Like he isn't exerting himself the way he could. So I'm like, how interesting that now they're circling back with the person that's actually probably more competent, but also more honest and more genuine. And so going back to the lady on the plane, I'm like, we live in a society where I feel like that kind of lack of intention-based behavior and disingenuine behavior is actually preferred, and it's celebrated and it's embraced. And we see that all the time in the workplace, like with this example that I mentioned. And then there's those of us who actually tend to undersell ourselves and we're not natural braggers or whatever, and then it can actually cost us the job. I hate to talk about him for the millionth time, in the past few years, as everybody else has, but Donald Trump is a great example of this. No matter what your political beliefs are, the guy won the presidency because of his brash audacity to say whatever he wanted. And there's a lot of people out there who are attracted to that. They're attracted to what feels like raw confidence, even if to some of us, it seems more like a glib sort of arrogance or narcissism or whatever. And so my whole, I guess, point of this video is like, okay, I'm becoming more and more aware as I get older that this is a thing in our society. And how do we make our society be a more genuine society where people are actually honest and then everybody wastes less time on this relationship that's not going to work out, this family dynamic that's not going to work out, this professional situation that's not going to work out, this business that's not going to work out. This is why I always root for Gen Z, because I feel like Gen Z knows what's up. Gen Z doesn't give a fuck. And Gen Z, I feel like they are more honest and they are more intention-based. My friend has a theory that Gen Z will save the world. By the way, we're millennials, her and I, so it's not like we're bragging about our generation. She has a theory that Gen Z will save the world. And when I think about these kinds of examples, I think she's right. I think it's more of an older generation thing to save face and say something you don't mean to get through the day, get through the moment, get through the meeting, get through the flight, you know, when you're pissed off about the shift or about your work day or whatever. What do you guys think about this? Should I do more bath chats, by the way?